What you are witnessing is how thousands of illegal border jumpers enter South Africa. This is one of the many popular crossing points on a porous 300-kilometer border with Zimbabwe. This one is not far from the Beitbridge border post. It's not electrified, so the barbed wire fence is not much of a deterrent. It's estimated that between 2 and 4 million Zimbabweans are living in South Africa, many of them illegally. We managed to speak to these 2 young women before they disappeared into the bush.
I was from Kwekwe. We were just trying to pass the border to come to South Africa so that we'll be having something to do. We're just trying to save the money for us to give the guys who help us to cross here. And then by the time we find the guys, we came here. We tried to cross with them the first day. We were about to be caught, and then we go back to Beitbridge. The second day we tried, and then that's today, and then we are trying to succeed, you know.
So you just jumped now?
Yeah, we just jumped. Now we passed through the river, and it was hard there by the river. The guys were just saying, pass, run. And then there were crocodiles, you know, it was hard.
We go to the river. We pay the boys 50 rand to cross the river for us.
Did each of you pay 50 rand?
Yeah.
You paid 50, you paid?
Yeah.
Like most border jumpers, they don't intend to stay in South Africa permanently.
My intention is to go back when I've got money. At least I'll be rich, showing my friends that I'm somebody.
Crossing the border illegally can be hazardous, but for those who can't afford a 1,000 rand visa, risking the river has become the only way to reach the new Canaan.
It's huge, and it's a big challenge, because in a day, within 24 hours, we can arrest around 200. So that works up something towards 2,000 per month. It's huge.
Who's not here? Memory.
Fence jumpers are becoming more daring. We found these young men openly crossing in broad daylight. On the South African side, a soldier spots the jumpers. 2 of them slip away when they realize their friends have walked into a trap. But almost all deportees will soon be back to have another go.
It's a revolving door syndrome, because we have observed a tendency by some of the illegal immigrants that once they are deported to their respective countries, others may decide for some reasons to come back into the country, and obviously that is an issue that we have to deal with.
This man has the never-ending task of repairing the holes made in the fence by border jumpers.
They keep me busy. When I come Monday, I'll find this hole opened. Yeah.
Musina on the South African-Zimbabwe border has become a stopover for many illegal immigrants. Anita Lewis and her friend Fatima Fachi are both blind. Anita is 4 months pregnant. Sheer desperation and hunger drove them with their children across the border into South Africa.
They're saying they came from Harare yesterday, and then they came through the river. Another man who was crossing helped them so that they crossed the river.
Did they have to pay him?
They paid 50 rand for that man. Yeah, they're saying they didn't eat anything since from Harare to Beitbridge. They didn't even eat anything. They just ate maize only. They want the children to go to South Africa. They think they want them to go to school to South Africa.
I want to extend this.
Not everybody gets into South Africa illegally. Some make use of visitors' visas.
How many days you get?
Hoping for a better future is 27-year-old Daphne Mashange. She's 7 months pregnant.
Yeah, the problems in Zimbabwe, it's like there is no fuel. If we are going to have the baby and at the hospital they say they don't have a fuel, it will be a problem to the mother and to the baby because there's no transport and fuel also. I've got my passport and a visa, and my visa is going to expire on 5 June this year, 2006. I'm proud of my country. I will go back for the sake of my mother and the children there, because they are just still waiting for me and looking for me. Maybe she will come with something.
Anita and Fatima find a room in Musina township to overnight. They lived in Harare, Zimbabwe until recently, when their shack was destroyed as part of President Mugabe's Operation Cleanup.
So since that was done, they thought of coming here because they don't have anywhere to stay. That's why they've decided to go to Joburg, because life there is difficult. They don't have anywhere to stay with these kids.
The next day, Anita, Fatima and their children go to Musina station. They're helped by this young man, Bakari. He's been to Joburg before and promises to help them find a place to stay there. Soon they're on their way. Destination, the city of promise, Johannesburg. Daphne is also on her way to Johannesburg. She doesn't have any family there and her visa won't allow her to work. But she hopes to give birth in a South African hospital.
I'm going to Joburg. I want to find anything to do for the sake of my baby and for my family in Zimbabwe. I want to forget them. I want to do even this job, anything which can give me money.
She arrives at noon a day later. She's heard of an organization called SAWIMA which offers support to women. It's an NGO that was started by concerned female refugees living in Johannesburg.
We lobby for refugee and asylum seekers' rights.
Many Zimbabweans end up here in the offices of SAWIMA.
If you are from Zimbabwe, raise up your hand. Okay, thank you. Any other country?
Joyce Dube, or Mama Joyce as she's called, is a founder member. She says life is hard for refugees.
To come to South Africa, you must pay a lot of money. If you want to cross illegally, there are people who will, you must pay some people who will organize that. Then you cross the border until in South Africa you face the same problem. You must pay all the way to your destiny. Life in Johannesburg is very difficult. They think in South Africa they will have jobs or have better life. No, it's worse. The payment is very low. You spend the money paying taxes to go to work, but you won't have extra to buy food and anything. So some of them, they prefer to stay at home.
Mama Joyce says pregnant women are not coming into the country for child support grants.
They can't come here for grant because they don't have IDs. They are not legal in the country. How can they apply for a grant? If some of them, of course, they can use other people's IDs to go to hospitals, but they can't use that ID for a grant.
Dudu Shuma is also from Zimbabwe. She's a qualified nurse and works at Sawima as an AIDS advisor.
The basic reason that the pregnant women and the women with children that they come here is to seek health facilities, because it's very difficult to access health facilities in Zimbabwe.
The perception that perhaps we need to correct is that if pregnant women decide to come and give birth in our own country, that does not necessarily or automatically make their children South Africans. Yes, they can come and give birth in our own country as long as they come legally, but that will not in any way make their children South Africans. All what the department will do will just give them a note which will indicate that the child was born in this particular hospital on this particular day. And that is not a reflection, or it's not a confirmation of their citizenship in South Africa in any way.
But in the past, Specialist Simon has shown how easy it is for illegal immigrants to buy fake IDs and to get access to welfare grants. Here, a Zimbabwean woman is buying the necessary documents from a Home Affairs official in Johannesburg.
Seriously. I'm trying. Yeah, but also you must understand. All you have to know.
After a 15-hour journey, Anita and Fatima arrive in Johannesburg. They found accommodation in a building in the center of the city. Others are not so lucky. This is the reality on the streets of the city of gold for many desperate, hungry, homeless people. Some have fled the misery of their own countries. A few find a place to sleep here at the Central Methodist Church.
Close to 200 people actually sleep here during the night. They live here with everything.
The church has opened its doors actually for more than 10 years to homeless people. And obviously in recent years, very recent years, the problem has escalated, particularly with asylum seekers and refugees coming into the country.
As you can see, they live from on the steps, on the carpet, and everywhere. Most of them during the day they are out there looking for a living, and then they come here in the evening to sleep.
There is a very specific process that people go through when they come into the building. I interview each person, and in some cases, not all cases, then we'll try and provide some kind of accommodation.
Pregnant women and children, some of them are school-going age, some of them are creche-going age, some of them do attend the creche that is downstairs.
Obviously, pregnant women find themselves in a particularly vulnerable place, but there are also women with very small children. To try and get your life together, and even when you've had your baby, you know, the initial food, not all mothers can breastfeed, and some of that stuff is really very, very expensive.
For many starving Zimbabweans, the only alternative is to cross the crocodile-infested Limpopo River. Food aid organizations say more than 4 million Zimbabweans are in need of help.
The situation of hunger in Zimbabwe is enormously serious. We're looking at millions and millions of people who don't have enough to feed themselves this year.
Yet those that have fled this crisis are not considered refugees because there is no war.
There are new groups of people who are coming in as a result of the instability and the crisis in Zimbabwe. Some of those may be considered economic migrants, but clearly the conditions in Zimbabwe now justify considering them refugees. Many of those people consider themselves refugees and are seeking asylum in South Africa, although many of them are having difficulty getting the protections of the South African state because of administrative problems, hostility, and a doubt that the conditions in Zimbabwe are bad enough to justify them coming here.
Once you have applied for an asylum permit, you obviously have to come back to the department, and also there would be some few questions that would be posed And on the basis of the responses, a determination will be made whether or not those people deserve to be given an asylum permit in that regard.
The current concern of many people is now the issue of access to asylum process in South Africa in general. If you look at the kind of backlog that the department has got, in a sense has become a handicap to many people assessing the whole process.
There's also just simply inaccess to the system. If you want to apply for asylum, people who've been in the winter they're sleeping outside in Pretoria trying to get access to the offices. Now we hear that they're being pepper sprayed to try to keep them in line outside the offices in Rosettenville. You can't say that this is an effective response from the state.
Home Affairs say they are busy with a project to deal with the backlog of asylum seekers. But until then, they only have one office in Johannesburg, and it's only open on Saturdays. Refugees, mostly from Zimbabwe, camp out all night, waiting for the office to open.
You must also understand.
The day we were trying to film the long lines, we were confronted by aggressive security personnel.
Don't touch the camera. Don't touch the camera.
We were also prevented from talking to people queuing there.
If there's anything that you want to find out, make the appointment. They don't have offices here. Look, you are allowed to. You can ask. No.
We retreat to a nearby coffee shop where the manager tells us about the Home Affairs corruption that he has witnessed.
The refugees were coming and sitting in our tables, and one or two of the officials would arrive, papers under his arm. 10 minutes later, he would walk out. No papers or anything, but his pockets were bulging with money.
You guys, media, you've got a problem. You've got a problem. Everything that happens, you think.
Corruption is a cancer. It's a virus that needs to be eradicated. And in the event that this issue of corruption is brought to our department through the correct channels, we will be able to deal with it quite decisively as a department.
Without asylum papers, illegal immigrants are exposed to all sorts of problems, including police harassment. Recently, Sawima led a march to the Department of Safety and Security. They were protesting the alleged ill treatment of Zimbabweans by police.
The problems I see around immigrants are not so much the immigrants per se, but the way the South African state and the South African people are responding to immigrants. By not providing them legal protection, by not allowing them to get access to housing, to schools, to healthcare, then we're creating a threat. If you can't get a job, how else are you going to get money than to steal? If you can't get housing, you're going to live in squatter settlements, you're going to invade houses, these sorts of things. If you can't get access to healthcare, if you get sick, you're going to get the people sick around you, and that's going to be a problem.
A week after Anita and Fatima arrived, we found them begging on a street corner near Constitution Hill.
She's saying it's better this side than it in Zimbabwe because she's making more money this side. And Maita Marinas 45. She says she made 45 rand. She's saying she's got a toothache, headache, and her feet are also sore. And Maita Marinas. She says she made 40 rand today.
We follow them home. They're living with other blind Zimbabweans and their handlers on the 7th floor of a high-rise block.
It's not fine when they stay because they stay 20 in one room and they can't sleep properly.
There's no proper sanitation, and the lifts stopped working long ago. Everyone, including children, pays 7 rand a day. We were asked not to film the room.
How many people?
Approximately 10 that they are in now. I'm not sure, but I think approximately. But maybe more than that because some of them even come back from
What was the problem?
They don't want to be on TV or on camera or anything.
And the reason?
No, they just don't want.
What do you think? What's the problem?
I think they are scared. I think they are scared.
Daphne found a place to stay through Mama Joyce. And she's now 8 months pregnant. She's becoming increasingly worried about the future.
The main problem is where I am staying is a nice place, but the problem is I can't afford to pay rent. I've got something. I feel like fainting. I just want to sit down and my legs are swollen. But the main thing I want is just if I get strong, even any day, what day, I want to do NP's job for the sake of my preparation, need the preparation for my baby.
One of the things that we need to reconsider around immigration law is whether to start granting sort of short-term work seeker visas or trader visas, which would take a lot of the burden off the asylum process. People could come in legally, they could stay for a short period, they could do their business, and they could go home. Migrants are always going to come here. There's no way to stop them. I think what's really at stake here is whether South Africa can develop effective ways of managing migration, finding ways to stop the corruption, the violence, the discrimination that's now associated with immigration.
I think it's also an opportunity for us to, in one way or another, say thank you to Africa for what they did for us for many, many years in providing education, in providing home, in providing dignity, and in actual fact sometimes even providing hope when it was very dark.
But